Hi, this is Sue, your menopause coach and the founder of Midlife Evolved. We're doing the ABCs of Menopause, and that means today we are on the letter C, and we're going to be talking about cancer and the controversial study that caused millions of women to stop taking their HRT or MHT because of a fear of cancer. So quick disclaimer first, I'm not a doctor. Please see your medical practitioner who knows your health history before embarking on any sort of hormone replacement journey. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Now that that's out of the way, let's dive in. The fear of cancer as it pertains to hormone replacement therapy started with a controversial study back in the late 80s, early 90s called the Women's Health Initiative Study. At that time, when that study came out, they had alarmist findings that estrogen causes cancer. They halted the study prematurely, and as I said, hundreds and thousands of women immediately stopped taking their hormone replacement. Bit of a spoiler alert here. Since that time, the clinicians who created that study have rolled back almost all of those findings, but you may not have heard about that. Now, this is why. The findings when they first came out, even though it was premature to come out with that news, was front page news. It was sort of alarmist. It was sexy headlines. So everybody knew about it. But when they came back more recently and rolled back those findings, that was not quite as front page news. So you may not have heard about it, but I'm here to tell you that those findings have since been rolled back. Now, when I talk about estrogen and cancer, it almost reminds me, and it's a bit of an analogy if you grew up in the 80s. So if you remember, there was a time when we all thought that fat was bad. We were seeing fat-free, no fat on everything. We were chomping down Snackwell's cookies, if you remember those, because we thought we were being healthy by eating Snackwell's cookies. But big surprise, we now know that it wasn't the fat. In fact, fat in many different forms is very good for us, but it was actually the sugar that was problematic. But if you lived through the 80s, you may still have a little piece of your brain that says fat is bad because it was so omnipresent. It was everywhere. It's almost the same thing as if you lived through a time where those headlines came out and estrogen was the cancer causer. You may still have a piece of your brain that's telling you, no, you can't do this because it causes cancer. Even if you've heard that it is actually has been disproven, it might still be somewhere. So I'm here to help you get rid of that little piece and go over facts and evidence-based studies that have disproven that fact. So before I start into that, I'm going to be referencing hundreds of studies that have disproven it. If you want to go deep into that science, highly recommend reading the book Estrogen Matters by Avrum Bluming and Tarvis. Avrum Bluming is an oncologist, so he has a special interest in cancer itself, and he is so good. They both are so good at breaking down all of this science in a very reader-friendly way. So if you would like to look further into these studies, please go ahead and read Estrogen Matters. I feel like this should be required reading for all middle-aged women, so please go get it. Now, I want to talk about that study. The study itself was highly problematic. Why? Because the participants in that study, they were on average age 63, which is well beyond the age when menopause starts. They had their own health issues to start with, such as heart disease, obesity. Many of them were smokers. So we can't compare a woman who is on the onset of menopause, who may be in her early 50s, even late 40s, to someone who is well past menopause and has health issues. You can't compare those two groups. At the same time, they were using synthetic forms of estrogen as well as the synthetic form of progesterone, which is a progestin. So we also can't compare that to what we more likely use now, which are the transdermal bioidentical type hormones. Again, some facts about cancer itself. Breast cancer is very common, unfortunately. Fortunately, early detected breast cancer is 95% curable now. So this is something that we hear about, and we hear so much about breast cancer, which is great since we are 95% curing early detected stage breast cancer. But there are other health issues for women which taking hormone replacement can help with preventing, like heart disease, like osteoporosis, that we don't talk about as much. When I say we don't talk about it as much, I think it's important to note that large percentage of women who get a hip fracture from osteoporosis will die within the first year of that fracture if they are 70 or over. But we don't talk about that too much. We don't talk about osteoporosis and the fact that hormones can prevent that. So that's something we should be talking about more as well. Some other scientific facts to note about estrogen and breast cancer are that as we age, our risk of breast cancer increases. But biologically, our estrogen levels, if we don't take hormone replacement, are rapidly declining until they're super, super low. So why then, if estrogen causes cancer and our risk goes up as we age, how does that make sense? If our estrogen is going down, our risk is going up if estrogen causes cancer. That doesn't scientifically compute. Another fact is, if you are somebody that has had breast cancer, getting pregnant, which surges your estrogen levels to super high levels, will not cause you to have a recurrence of breast cancer. If estrogen causes cancer, why would the surge of estrogen caused by pregnancy not cause you to have a recurrence of breast cancer? That doesn't really make sense either. So that is just some facts about breast cancer to really think about when you think about the whole estrogen causes breast cancer thing. Now, another fact to note is that only 20% of OBGYNs study menopause. So if you're going to your doctor thinking that they know everything about hormone replacement therapy, just be warned that if they are not specifically studied menopause, they might not know about this, and they might also still be going by those old studies. So make sure they are NAMS, N-A-M-S certified. You can go to menopause.org to find out if your doctor is really well-versed in menopause. The great news is that all these studies that, again, you will read Estrogen Matters to find out about, have claimed now, or not claimed, but have found that we can prevent osteoporosis, or at least help very greatly prevent osteoporosis, prevent heart disease. Cognitive decline is something that is greatly assisted, preventing Alzheimer's, which is a heartbreaking disease for patients and their families. MHT, menopausal hormone therapy, is something that can prevent, or at least greatly help prevent, those things. It also will give you an average of 3.5 more years to your lifespan. It actually increases your lifespan. This is information that I feel like needs to get out there to you now. That's why I created Midlife Evolved, to disseminate this information to you when you need it, so you can get the scientific facts and make choices for yourself. I have to say, as a menopause coach, I cannot prescribe you hormone replacement therapy, so I have no financial incentive to spread this information around. It is just the facts that I feel like every midlife woman deserves to have. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now. I'm going to tell you again, please read Estrogen Matters. Please reach out if you have any questions. That is what I'm here for. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be here for your next video. Take care.